Okay, so in this video, we're going to look at making this little finger pad. Is that what you'd call it? I'm not too sure, but a little 3D printed pad here that is going to become the kind of the finger and thumb grip of a fidget spinner. Okay, so there's my fidget spinner. There's a pad on the one side. If I turn this over, there's a pad on the other. I've not taken off the protective plastic here, just so that I can talk about it in future demonstrations. But here's a pad that's been made, and this is actually slightly bigger than the pad that I've got here. This pad would actually cover the metal profile of the skate bearings inside this fidget spinner. But with this one that I'm going to show you now, I felt as if actually showing the metal bearings there was actually quite a nice feature. So when we get onto the dimensions of this outer circular profile, you could make this a little bit bigger, but I kind of quite like that. Okay, so here we go. Let's go on to TinkerCAD, which we're going to be using. Now, I've got the actual finished product here. I'm not going to go through the whole making. I'm just going to show you the key features of this. So let's have a look at this from the top. And notice here that I've got this in orthographic view. If I go to perspective view, then what's happening now is I'm kind of distorting the image with the perspective effect. And that's actually difficult now, I find anyway, to work with things in a flat orthographic view. So I'm going to go back to the orthographic perspective. And now if I look from the top, then basically everything is kind of lined up like a flat image from above. So I've got the smaller circle here, which is going to go inside the skate bearing. Then I've got another circle here. If I look at this from the front, this actually allows me to space the thumb pad away from the bearing edge. And so the idea is that this is reducing the likelihood that this thumb pad is going to physically touch the bearing itself, which could cause friction. So that's the idea of this little thin layer here. And then finally, we've got the actual pad that we grip with our finger and thumb. So that hopefully explains what is happening in terms of this little design here. I can zoom in here and hope you can see that a bit more clearly there. Okay, so that is what we are after. Good. Okay, and of course it's going to be 3D printed. So let's come back to TinkerCAD again. If I select this, what I'm going to do, I've grouped this together, so I'm going to break it apart. I'm going to ungroup it, and you can see now I've color-coded these separate sections. I believe there's a note feature here, isn't there? What I could do, let's see, could I add a note onto this? Look at that. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about it now, but for future reference, I should do that, shouldn't I? Okay, so what I'm going to do, first of all, is go into the top view here. I'm going to select each of these circles. So the red circle first. This goes into the center of the skate bearing. I'm going to click, I'm going to mouse over the handle there, and I can see that that has a dimension of 8 by 8 millimeters. And as it's a circle, that means that this is going to have a diameter of 8 millimeters. If I now select the orange circle, which is the little spacer, then I can see that that has dimensions, has a diameter of 10 millimeters. And finally, if I go to the thumb pad, I can see that this is a dimension of 18 millimeters. Incidentally, if I wanted it so that the thumb pad here, and let's try and make this focus again. There we go. If I wanted it so that the thumb pad, okay, and the camera has completely crashed. There we go. We've got it back again now. No, we haven't. The camera's having a problem. But if we wanted the thumb pad to, oh, it is, completely cover here the metal bearing, this is 22 millimeters, the bearing size. So I would imagine 22 millimeters rather than 18 would be the size to go for the thumb pad. Right, okay. So that's looking at them from above. Let's now have a look at this from the side. Okay, so let's go back to, let's go the thumb pad first. So this was 18 millimeters diameter. I can even see it if I mouse over there. And if I have a look at the height of this, I've got this as 2.5 millimeters in height. Let's just zoom in a bit here. Let's now look at this little spacer. This is 0.5 millimeter in height. And then finally, let's have a look at the actual pin that goes into the bearing itself. That's 2.5 millimeters in height. So just rewind the video there if you want to get those dimensions back. And the last thing I'm going to do here is look at this from the top again. Let's just zoom out again here. And now what I'm going to do is just pull these off to the side. Let's pull that to the side like that. And let's pull this off to the side like that. Now notice that everything here is on the grid. Okay, this is the center of the grid right here. Again, I can look at this from the front. I can see how this has been raised up. Obviously, if this is a height of 2.5 millimeters, then this must have been raised off the ground by a height of 2.5 millimeters. Now notice here, I cannot snap to 2.5 millimeters. What I need to do here is come down to snap to grid and make sure I've got this to 0.5 millimeter snap setting. And now you can see that I can pull that down to 2.5 off the surface of the work plane. Now, if that is 2.5 and this is starting at 2.5, and then is a height of 0.5, then hopefully we realize that 2.5 plus 0.5 is 3. So this is 3 millimeters off the surface. That will make sure, of course, that now when I pull these back into the center of the design, there and there, that they're all going to slide in together. You can see how, you can see how they all slid in together. Okay, let's just bring those back again there. And now let's look from the top again. And there they all are lined up again. So there you go. That is how I made this. Let's just select all those. Let's group them all together again so it makes one 3D print. And don't forget that when you are ready to 3D print this, you need to go to export, and you need to export this as an STL, a standard tessellation language file, to send to the 3D printer. Good. There you go. Have fun. And I look forward to seeing your finished fidget spinners.